Liverpool are European football royalty. As the biggest club in the best league in the world, their fans have been spoilt over the years. But those good times have come to a screeching halt this term as Jurgen Klopp's men have struggled for any sort of consistency. So what on earth happened to Liverpool this season? Stay with us as we delve into goings-on at Anfield in both the locker room and the boardroom. First and foremost, let's take a quick look at the history of LFC. As we already mentioned, Liverpool fans have been used to success over the years. The 19-time English champions are also the country's most successful export in Europe, having lifted the European Cup or Champions League to modern fans on no fewer than 6 occasions. Liverpool dominated at home and abroad throughout the 70s and 80s, before a barren spell saw them go 30 years without a domestic title. There were pockets of success in between, however, as they just about managed to keep their loyal fan base on side with solid performances on the European and domestic cup scenes. The miracle in Istanbul, as it has come to be known, Liverpool's incredible Champions League win in 2005 being just one example. The following 2006 season, the Reds won the FA Cup thanks to an inspirational performance by captain Steven Gerrard, who scored a last-gasp leveller from 30 yards to take the tie into extra time and then penalties. This was yet another false dawn though, as Liverpool again flattered to deceive where the holy grail of the Premier League was concerned. But all that was about to change. So what happened over the next few seasons? Well, what hasn't happened? Since Jurgen Klopp walked through the doors at Anfield back in 2015, the Reds have quite simply won it all. After a rocky start under the German, which saw them adopt a heavy metal style of football, Klopp finally put together a team capable of challenging the dominance of Manchester City. As they cruelly missed out on the title by solitary points on the final day of the 2018-19 season, the men from Anfield would not be denied in Europe, dominating Spurs in the Champions League final in Madrid. This provided closure for Klopp, having been beaten at the same stage in the competition a year earlier by Real Madrid. It's safe to say that the Champions League win galvanised a team who had just missed out on 2 of the game's top prizes over the previous 2 seasons, and they went on to completely dominate the Premier League the following season, winning it at a canter. Even the dreaded COVID-19 couldn't stop Klopp's men. The Reds went close to an unprecedented quadruple last term, managing to win both domestic cup competitions, but came up short in the Premier League as they just missed out yet again to Manchester City by a single point, whilst also being beaten by Real Madrid in the Champions League final for the second time in 5 seasons. After all of this success, what's going wrong this season? Of course, when something like this happens at such a big club who have been so successful over a certain period of time, people like to cast a one-size-fits-all assessment. It's more complicated than that though, and there are a few factors to consider. The first is probably the most obvious. Jurgen Klopp's world beaters are at the end of a cycle. Too many of the players have relied on so much over the past few years are beginning to show signs of decline, and others, who should be entering their prime, have simply fallen off a metaphorical cliff form-wise. If we look at the spine of the team that has won everything under Klopp, Virgil van Dijk, Joel Matip, Jordan Henderson and Roberto Firmino, these lads are all the wrong side of 30. Then there's Thiago, who came a bit later but is 31 at this point. Dependable players such as Trent Alexander-Arnold, Fabinho and Mo Salah have also been a shell of their former selves this year. Trent appears to have forgotten how to defend, and there have been murmurings from the Anfield faithful that their Egyptian king doesn't appear to have the same drive since signing his shiny new £400,000 per week contract last summer. Fabinho looks half the player he was. Make of that what you will. Liverpool need an injection of new blood and fast, or they'll run the risk of becoming English and European also-rans, a feeling they know all too well. Can Klopp himself take any of the blame? A quick perusal of any social media article which mentions the Reds' woes this term will prove that the majority of the Liverpool fanbase are still firmly behind their German manager. I mean, anyone who delivered the Premier League title after 30 years was always going to be afforded legend status at the club, and as far as the fans are concerned, Jurgen Klopp is unsackable. That doesn't mean he cannot shoulder some of the blame though. Liverpool have been humbled more times than they would have liked this season, and some of that is on Klopp. His refusal to drop Trent Alexander-Arnold, who seems to be a shell of his former self, is worrying. Yes, Klopp is known for being loyal to his players, but the only local in Liverpool's starting 11 just cannot defend the far post when the ball is whipped in. Alexander Mitrovic bullied him for the opener at Craven Cottage in the first game of the season, and this has happened time and time again. This isn't a new phenomenon either. Trent appears to have no awareness of what's around him when defending, and his sloppiness in possession this term has been eye-catching. There have also been accusations around Klopp's insistence on keeping hold of players like Naby Keita and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Those two are seemingly injured more often than they are fit, and the Anfield faithful have simply had enough. Klopp should have shipped them out in the summer of 2021. But here we are nearly 2 years later, with both still taking wages from the club without regularly troubling the team sheet, Chamberlain especially. What about Thiago? There's a feeling around Anfield that Thiago Alcantara is a luxury that Liverpool simply cannot afford. A player whose relaxed style becomes slightly infuriating with the chips are down. When he first signed for the Reds, just after they won the league in 2020, there was widespread excitement throughout the fanbase. Liverpool appeared to be taking on the old Manchester United mantra of strengthening when they were on top, which in hindsight, they didn't do enough of. In many ways, Thiago is a sign of Liverpool's decline this season, a player who never really seems to be fully fit. Don't get me wrong, when Thiago is fit and firing, Liverpool purr. But those days are few and far between. Klopp, though, seems to be unwilling to admit that this iteration of his Liverpool side isn't really designed to get the best out of the Spanish magician. The boss broke Liverpool's own transfer policy of not signing players in the final stage of their career when Thiago arrived from Bayern Munich, and there's a feeling that the high-tempo, all-action style seen when Wijnaldum was marshalling Liverpool's midfield is unattainable with Thiago in the team. Jurgen Klopp really has to take some blame for this. Yes, any team in the world would have taken Thiago in 2020, but Klopp's refusal to admit that some players just don't work borders on antagonising on occasion. Next up, let's talk FSG. When any team goes through a bad spell, fingers are invariably pointed at club ownership. Just look at Manchester United over the past 10 years, and Everton right now. FSG are walking on thin ice. They have sanctioned some pretty hefty transfers, but that is generally with money the club has generated itself. Just look at what the signings of Alisson Becker and Virgil van Dijk did for the team. These two world-class players were both brought in with the proceeds of the Philippe Coutinho sale to Barcelona, not FSG money. In an era when the Premier League TV deal is the biggest in world football, Liverpool's frugal owners consistently failed to keep pace with their peers. Manchester City, Manchester United, Chelsea, and now Newcastle all have no problem splashing the cash, and FSG's policy has simply come unstuck over the past season or two. Liverpool were crying out for a central midfielder last summer. They brought in Arthur Melo on loan, who was promptly ruled out for the season injured. Liverpool are not a team who should be making loan signings in the summer when hoping to win league titles, especially when going so close to winning every competition they entered in the previous season. This past January, when the cracks were beginning to show, FSG again sat on their hands and watched Chelsea sign, well, everybody. This simply isn't good enough for a team like Liverpool. There's been lots of talks about Jude Bellingham being brought in this summer, and quite frankly, FSG needs to get that over the line. Otherwise, the natives are going to become very restless. What's the outlook for the rest of the season? Strangely, all is not lost. Liverpool have begun to turn a corner in the league and have just started getting back to keeping clean sheets over the past few games. Their assault on the Champions League, though, a competition with which they have such a deep affinity, is all but over after being humiliated by long-time tormentors Real Madrid recently. Going out of the Champions League could be a blessing in disguise for the Red Men, though, who could use it to focus on finishing fourth. They've played most of the teams above them in the league away from home already, and only one City remain on that front. We know from experience that Jurgen Klopp has what it takes to make a late charge for the Champions League spots. You probably remember a couple of years back when their defence was decimated by injury and they had to rely on Reece Williams and Nathaniel Phillips. They just about managed to rally on that occasion. Whether or not this version of Klopp's Liverpool have enough to get over the line remains to be seen, but don't count out the charismatic German or his team just yet. As usual, thank you for stopping by today, and remember to hit the like and subscribe so you don't miss out on great content in the future. And why not give us your take on Liverpool's woes this season and what they need to do to turn it around in the comments below. Bye guys.